During most of the 20th century, pimps, madams, traffickers exploited their victims on street corners and in brothels. Girls and women would be paraded up and down the street in front of cars driven by Johns. The buyers chose the one they wanted. The brothels, the madam would call the girls downstairs to the parlor, and a lineup would pass by those Johns. The John would say, "I'll take the one in the red teddy." The exploiters, in other words, were the ones who had to go looking for the victims. The Johns had to go in search of the prostitutes, and the victims were the ones who were moved to whatever location had the most potential for the most customers. That was then, and this is now. That's the sound of a victim being sold online. That's the sound of a John buying a human being. That's the sound of a child being groomed by a predator. That's the sound of profit for today's pimps and traffickers. Pimps and traffickers want to make money. They do that by exploiting people, exploiting the demand for prostitutes, exploiting the victims they ensnare, and exploiting the market conditions that allow sex trafficking and prostitution to flourish. Pimps, traffickers, and even prostitutes capitalize on the demand for commercial sex by catering to it online. Pornography is also thriving on the internet, according to top10reviews.com. There are 42 million pornographic websites. That's 12% of all websites, and 68 million pornographic search engine requests every single day. That's 25% of all total search requests. How many of those 68 million requests will lead to the viewer wanting to buy sex after? Well, the retail stores know they need to get people to buy something, and they have to do it while those people are in the stores looking around. Because if they person leaves before buying, they're not likely to come back and purchase something. Online, the pimps know that lesson well. So they want to make it very quick and easy for the porn viewer to find a prostitute online. For a few years, that pathway was through Craigslist, specifically their adult services section. In September of 2010, Craigslist shut down their U.S. adult services section. In December of 2010, they followed suit for their international version too. Some of the Craigslist traffic moved to the Backpage.com. Sahir Mizkash, a professor of sociology at Columbia University, interviewed 290 prostitutes in New York City. He found that even before Craigslist developed their, quote, adult services section, prostitutes were setting up on Facebook to find their clients there. Of the 290 women, 61% had used Craigslist, but now 83% have moved to Facebook. Venucash says that by the end of this year, 2011, Facebook will be the leading online recruiting space. What does it say about our culture and our economy that not only are pimps and traffickers utilizing the virtual brothel, but so are women who have no pimp? For John, what's not to like about the virtual brothel concept? They can lure a prostitute right on their BlackBerry. They can have a tryst at lunch and still make it to their afternoon appointment with no one the wiser. If they're not sure about their choice, they can always log on to a John's board to find out who they recommend or who specializes in their particular fetish. Let's face it, much of what's being said about oneself online is exaggerated, and since Johns cannot see their choice in person, they look to fellow Johns to enlighten them as to their experiences and their preferences. The virtual brothel exploits the victims, and not just while they're being victimized. Once a picture goes online, it's never really gone. A website might remove the content, but if somebody downloaded it, it can be uploaded and circulated all over again, over and over again. An FBI agent that I know recently interviewed a pimp in prison. He asked that pimp, "Where did you find kids for prostitution?" The pimp replied, "It's easy. There's an endless supply of runaways and other vulnerable kids in malls. How do you spot them? the FBI agent asked. The pimp said, I watch for girls who are alone. Most kids go to the mall with their friends or with their parents. If a girl is alone, the chances are she's vulnerable. So I go up to her and I say, you've got pretty eyes. If she looks at me and smiles and says, thank you, I move on. But instead, if she looks down at her shoes and says, no, I don't have pretty eyes, he says, I know I've got her. I don't know about you, but every time I hear that story, it brings a tear to my heart. Because those pimps go out and look for vulnerable girls and young women to exploit. They go to the bus stations, they go to the shopping malls, they go to where teens hang out, and they search for girls with low self-esteem. Girls whose mom and dad have never told them that they have pretty eyes. In the internet age, pimps use the internet to find those vulnerable preteens and teens. They recruit the troubled teens in chat rooms, on social networking sites, and after they ensnare them, they exploit them on websites like Craigslist and MyRedBook. One pimp, Marvin Epps, was quoted in his indictment as writing in a chat log, and this is in lingo. I don't put girls on the grade, it's Y2K pimping. Get some professional, beautiful, elegant, glamour shots, put them on those escort websites, and her phone goes snap. Teens who sext take nude pictures of themselves and send them via phone or email to someone else. They create, not knowing it, a path via phone or email for somebody else to find them. These pictures can be spread all around their school and throughout the town, leading to that child feeling alone and ostracized, thus making them far more vulnerable to pimps. These pictures can also end up on the internet and posted on porn sites or on pedophilia sharing sites. Pimps are expert manipulators, and they will use anything they know about that child to their advantage. Sexting, internet chat room logs, and social networking sites are great hunting grounds for them. These hunting grounds are loaded with prey and the ammunition with which to ambush the kid. Pimps and traffickers want to make money. Like a modern company with a vision for growth, these traffickers realize that the internet expands their business. It increases their contacts, it expands their reach, it multiplies their ability to meet the demand, and the websites are not local, they are international. That means the pimps can cater to tourists around the world. And when there's a major sporting event or some other big arena where there's a gathering of pimps and traffickers, just move the women and the girls to that event location and meet the demand. What better way to advertise that fact than on the internet? With the internet, that pimp can update a web listing or website daily. Do they have more requests for Asian girls than Caucasian girls? No problem, just change the pictures. Is Cincinnati not profitable enough? No problem. Check the local websites in Atlanta, see if there's more